I'm Nikos with Metal Underground, and I'm here with Richie from Incite. Uh,
What up, brother? How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
All is well, man. Thanks for having me.
So, I'd like to ask you, Incite is 21 years old. How does that resonate with you when you hear that?
I mean, it's crazy to me because that's like my kid, you know. So when I hear that, I just am like, damn. But I'm very proud of it at the same time. You know, it's not what I expected when I first started the band. You know, I wanted to rock for a while, but I didn't think it was gonna be that long and be able to perform that many records and shows and all that. But it's cool. You know, I wouldn't change anything.
So, did you ever imagine that the band would have this much staying power when you first started it?
No, I don't think, we ever really have like reached that place where we're staying around because so many people buy our stuff. I think we've been able to maintain a good following and do records right, work and have a great partnership with Minus Head for all those years. And, he was in the process of beginning that label and using Incite as that. So we had a killer dude that supported us, that allowed us to make those records. And I look at that period as just growing. You know, we're not the band that came out and like blew our load album one or two, and now we're like chasing that forever. We are constantly getting better and better. We've had dudes that have come in the band to like push it to the next level, and now you have that solidified lineup with like Lennon, me, and L for the last like 13 years, and now Lane, who's come in and totally embodied that fourth guy that we really needed, and it's just excelled. So I think to have that long of a career, we're so lucky. And for metal, that's usually when you really start to take off, is that like 10 to 15 year mark. So we're riding that perfect little ride, and having a great time doing it.
You're maturing, is what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely tour so much different. You write different. You do everything so much different. There's not the ego driven madness of being, 20, like I remember. It was always just fighting and yelling and everybody pissed because they had to load gear. And it was just like, like these dudes like understanding what touring was. So I always had to be the dude to like just teach people, grow them as well as grow myself and learn. And now that music's like taking that shape of maturing and putting everything we've kind of done together and like finally fine tuning it.
Your new album is going to be entitled, or it is entitled, Savage New Times, releases in August. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I mean that's like, everything I just talked about. It's that growth that a band has went through, and you can listen to each disc and feel that. And with this record, we were able to just take everything that we're really good at and make it that much better, hone in exactly what our sound and style is. We always just say we're a heavy metal band, and this album demonstrates that. From the opening track, Lies, a real in your face smasher, and just a rap, more of a groove, um, you know, aggressiveness to it that's really exciting and fun. And then you have like a song like Dolores that totally changes the atmosphere in the room and is such a, like, you don't know what's coming. And I love that about that song. And most of this record, it's really, it's it's unexpected, and that's what's really cool. From the soloing to the production, the guitar tone, the vocal performance, it all just really hits on this record. And um you saw that developing with like Wake Up Dead. We were really honing in our style and who we wanted to be and sound like, and what influences will be important. And we brought in Steve Evans again, so we knew we were going to have, that dude that has been there for us, that knows what we want, knows how we want to get it, and puts his stuff into it and pushes it even further. So Savage New Times is a ripper, and people that I've talked to or that are listening to it are feeling the same way. And that's exciting for us. That's something we haven't had on this level with a record.
How many tracks are on it?
It's 10. I don't even think it's 30 minutes long, but when you listen to it, it's just like you feel like you've had a ride, and then you instantly want to do it again. It's like a year in since we finished it, and I'm still listening to it every day, and I'd never do that with our records.
What's your favorite tracks?
Oh, that's hard. It's a battle. I have two that I really can't pick from. Chucked Off and Doubts and the Fears, and it's cool because those aren't even like songs we used as singles, which I'm stoked about because then people they have all this these singles we put out, and then they're gonna find tracks like that that are even just more lethal and hard hitting in terms of like vocals and riffing and song delivery.
Can you tell us any interesting stories when you were recording the album? Anything that people like to hear?
Oh, oh, dude, I mean this one was wild. We had always been like in like Southern California or Arizona, sunny, real laid back kind of recording processes, and we really wanted to flip that up. And fortunately for us, Steve Evans moved from Southern California to Newark, New Jersey, and like the heart of the slums and the war zone, as I called it, and we just we were there in the winter time, and the whole vibe, the whole aspect of it was so different. And I think coming home one night, we had a couple gunshots and a shootout in front of like the Airbnb we were at, and cars getting stolen, and it was really crazy. And I would put that whole record experience as a crazy one.
It sets the mood for the recording, doesn't it?
Yeah, I thought so. It allowed us to definitely dive in deeper. We didn't want to go outside. We didn't want to go anywhere. It was just like hunker down in this kind of a house thing and like just hit it hard and hang out with the ants, and it was wild, man. We were definitely engulfed in this record fully,
And what do
which
you
I
mean
think
by
that
hang out with the ants? I got to hear this.
like this place was just infested with ants. It was so bad. You couldn't leave a piece of trash, a water, or anything around this house. It was just insane. And then like creeping around at night. So you're like trying to go to the bathroom, everybody's sleeping, and it's so wooden and freaky and just like, oh man, it was a deal, dude. It was fun though, and that's what I was looking for with this record, and coming out to Newark and working with Steve again.
So you're on the Summer Slaughter tour that starts next month. How many dates is that tour, and who are you sharing the stage with? Tell us about that.
It's 16 shows, I believe, and we're doing 13 of them. Uh, we kick off in Oklahoma City and go from there on that package. And what a true honor for Jamie and Hatebreed and all the Summer Slaughter camp to put Incite on this kind of 2.0 rebirth, relaunch of this, tour that's been going on for so many years and has, brought us so many killer acts throughout its history. So to be a part of that is just a trip. And then you add the bands that are on it. We have Bleeding Through on some dates. We have Malevolence. We have, you know, Snuffed on Sight, who to me is really kick ass, and Fugitive is like one of like the coolest like thrash like bands out there right now. And obviously to see Hatebreed every night is going to be unbelievable. And I just hope people come early. We're going to be kicking these nights off, and we're going to set the bar extremely high. We're going to be playing heavy Savage New Times, and we're going to be playing a lot of Wake Up Dead. So I think we're going to bring some fresh hell for everybody to get crazy to.
So who are you most excited to actually play, not play with, but see for yourself as a fan on that tour?
I mean, it's got to be Hatebreed. Obviously, uh, they're reaching that like, that 30-year mark, that legendary kind of status, that big dog, as you call it, in terms of like heavy music. So, to see them every night, experience like what they do that draws the crowd, what songs they're gonna play. I'm beyond stoked for that, and I've always heard great stories about how cool they are on tours. So, um, to get that opportunity, we're just like tripping. They gave us two shows back in 2019 that we did with them, and it was just unbelievable. So to think to get to do that for like 3 weeks now coming up, and um, I'm still just tripping about it. I'm excited as hell.
Is there going to be a European tour to support the new album? Any plans?
Yeah, I think they're talking about that early next year, and then also doing like a summer festival run as well. So um, everybody's just waiting to see this record come out. That's the big thing. Everybody wants to understand what it's going to do, and that I think is going to set the tone for where the band goes as far as touring. And uh, I'm hoping, yeah, at least 2 times to Europe is needed.
What festivals do you hope that you land on in Europe next summer?
I mean, our number one choice is walking. Obviously, it's the most famous, heavy metal festival that's ever been, in my opinion, and that would be a true honor to play that stage, as well as like Hellfest. It's a big one. Brutal Salt, Grass Pop. There's a million of them, but walking is definitely that that pillar you want to hit in the band. It's like getting a Grammy.
So, what are some of your favorite cities to play in and why?
Um, One of my absolute favorites is London. That has always just been for us as Incite one of the places that's accepted us from the get go and has always continued to support. And we played there most recently in 2023, and it was just absolutely unbelievable. The energy you feel, that's incredibly special. And then anywhere in South America, those shows are just unbelievable. You feel like the Beatles, you
You feel
know.
like the Beatles?
There's Yeah, you land at the airport, there's people waiting there to get autographs and photos. You go to the hotel, it's the same scenario. You're at the show, they're pounding on the van, and it's quite an experience that we as metalheads and smaller bands don't really ever get to experience.
I'm sure you've seen like the videos of like when Iron Maiden goes there and how they people are just bum rushing everything at all the times. They
Oh yeah.
go to stadiums and just hordes of people hopping the fence and it doesn't it like you said, it kind of doesn't matter who it is. They do that for every like they're bloodthirsty for bands to come there all the time.
Yeah, and now that they're like being opened up to that market, and having that chance to see all these bands they've literally just seen on like the internet or magazines, it's dope. And like I said, that place is engulfed everywhere in terms of like crowd energy and excitement for music, and you're seeing why bands are flooding that area now.
So when you're on the road and you're just burning time, what do you what's on your playlist? What are you streaming? What do you listen to?
I listen to a lot of the project from Chino, the Crosses. I love what he's done with that. The texture of those songs, the balance of like the bass and the the synth that they do on it. It's just a killer, and that dude's a legend. And then I would probably bounce over to a lot of reggae too, man. I dig that a lot. And then I will get into some mid '90s alternative and just jam out. I listen to metal at least like 6 hours a day at every show and play it and all these things. So at this age, it's more like I love to listen to this kind of like chill shit, nostalgic stuff from when I was, a teenager growing up, you know, closing time, shit like that, just to have a good feeling. It's like a Coca-Cola, I guess, is what music's become to me, just like that positive solution to life. And that's where I'm at. I went through, my negative music scene era. I went through, all those different ones, but this is where I find myself now, and it's cool. It's different, and it brings more influence into Insight. I think it brings more influence into my vocal presence and performance and cadences and things like that that I can test out, and as well as lyrical inspiration as well.
Do you bring some of that like stuff you listened to in the 90s and you bring it to practice when you guys are coming up with new ideas and material just to try it out to see how it works?
I mean, all of us, really grew up in that era. So when we're driving or we're jamming or hanging out, like that music is so big to all of us. It resonates, and it's cool to see it kind of be like classic now, and almost in a way. It's like it trips you out in that aspect that some of these songs are that old, and we just vibe though. We're a band that just loves music. We don't like feel the need to just be like listening to like Slayer down the road all day long, or Cannibal Corpse and that stuff, which we do. But to influence your music, I think it's best to like try everything from obviously I don't fuck with country and shit like that, but there's a lot of good stuff out there that's going on, especially with the platforms that we have to find it is just amazing.
Has Insight ever like at a practice come up with a song, go, man, I don't know if this will ever make it on an album. What should we do with this?
I mean, that was Dolores, man. That was such a different direction musically for us and everything we do. We write a song and it's like, how heavy can we make this? Like, how many pits can we start? That's like our mindset. We want to be tenacious and ferocious. And with that song, it was like, damn, it's so cool on the demo. Like it's only going to be cooler recorded. So that song was like where we had toyed around, played around, didn't think it was going to be, on the album, maybe a B-side, but it ended up just coming out so cool. And that's what's cool about music, man. You just try things and test things and evolve and accidentally fall into something and come out with a killer song.
Does that song make it on the set list?
It's gonna headline shows for sure, or like a 45-minute set, definitely. But with Summer Slaughter, I think our set time is only 25 minutes, so we're just gonna play literally balls to the walls, rippers, and just blast people with as many as we can get in.
So where do you see Insight a decade from now?
Uh, Probably just playing festivals here and there, or like one-off gigs. And that would be my personal opinion. I love this, but I've literally been traveling and been gone from a stable place since I was literally like 18 and like 22 years, and I just need that. I can feel my mental health aspect of being gone. I have somebody that is like my soul and my love, and I found this place that I love, and I've never found that where it like feels like a home again, and that to me is like worth more than anything else. So I would like this to slow down and kind of get there. But right now, the next 5 years, I see us going really hard and pushing this band to be as big and influential as it can be um, as we ride into the sunset. And I never like want to be like an old dude up there playing metal about being like a pissed off teenager. That messes with my vibe when I see that. Some of the dudes can pull it off and it's great and awesome and cool, good for that. But to me, it's just like, dude, it's like a basketball player or anything else. You just got to be like, it's time. I
Age
had a hell of a
gracefully.
run. Yeah, and not just go still perform because you want to be famous still, but you can't sing and you can't fucking do the moves and you can't do shit, and just I don't know, not fair to your legacy and people coming to see you and shit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you've read about Frankie Blackfire recently. He's stepping away so he can be with his family. He's just been doing it over and over and over. There's no shame in that.
Yeah, no, not at all, man. Like that's what it's about. You come in and that's a problem with metal. Like when you start a band now, you're not like competing against just like the bands that are hot. You're competing literally against all the metal bands that have ever been because they're still touring. They're still putting records out, 50 years. So it's just like we need those guys to call it a day and let the new dudes take over and continue to let metal grow and be a cycle and produce new artists and new boundaries, because if not, we're just going to disappear. And that's how all the other huge genres last. They pass the torches on, they bring the next group in to expand on what they did and grow it hopefully bigger than what they did. And I think they're starting to realize that, and taking younger bands on tour and not just being endless buyouts as your only opportunity to even get a tour. So things are changing.
So what do you want your legacy to be?
That dude worked hard and was super cool. Like that's who I am. I'm a hard worker, and this business is like great for that kind of ethic. Everything about it is hard work, a challenge, uh, figuring things out when there's just like no hope in sight, type of mindset sometimes. So I would definitely like to be remembered for being a dude that could always pull that shit off and always gave everything he had.
So I appreciate you answering the questions. That's pretty much all I have. And
No worries,
any
man.
last words, anything you want to say to people maybe watching this video?
Yeah, if you're coming to Summer Slaughter in July, come check out Incite. We're opening. Get there early. Buy your tickets. Let's rage. Come say what up at the merch booth. And then obviously, Savage New Times, August 15th. Everywhere you can pre-order it now. We got collector vinyls and all that, shit that people love. Check us out. Support that stuff. Spread the word if you're digging it. And thanks, brother, for taking your time to let the metalheads know what's up with Insight in this new record. And truly appreciate it. And wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And have a safe trip.
Hey, thank you, man. I'll see you in Prague sooner than later. That's for sure.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Hell yeah. Be well.
You too.